Tiffany, actually, I guess related to the Korean thing, Tiffany, on previous shows, you said that you should date within your culture and nationality, given that Chloe over there is dating somebody in Korea. Do you have any objections to her not dating within her nationality and culture?
I mean, it's not preferable, but you can do what you want. I think Korea should be maintained Korea.
At the same time, Korea has the lowest birth rate ever also, and so Koreans aren't being with Koreans also. Also, I have over 10 siblings. I have 11 biological siblings, 23 siblings in total, and they're all by different white guys. I have every breed of white guy in my family. Every white person, for the most part, looks like one of my siblings. I cannot do it.
You can't do what?
I can't date someone who looks like one of my siblings.
So you don't want to date anyone who's white?
What?
There are exceptions, but almost every white guy I meet looks like one of my siblings. Yes.
Wait, I've heard this from Asian women. They're like, oh, I couldn't date an Asian guy because he looks like my brother.
It's a common thing for all
But I don't
races.
understand.
She
I don't really
has
get
23
that.
siblings, though. She's an exception.
No, it's not an exception.
She has 23 siblings.
I just don't. I don't get that. But okay. So wait, you can't date a white guy because your siblings are white?
I could, with very few exceptions, if they did not look like one of my siblings. The odds, though, of me finding one that does not look at all like any of my siblings is very slim.
Because they're all with different guys.
I don't get this phenomenon because, like, okay, if you think of throughout, like
if you're having sex
hold
with
on, let me
someone.
finish. If you look at like the vast history of humanity, you're like, if you had an unwillingness to procreate with your own race, your genes would just be wiped out because historically most people did not get exposed to other races. Like all your dating prospects, everybody looked like your brother. Like wherever you lived, like most people probably didn't go further than like 5 miles from wherever the fuck they lived. This is like modern travel is fairly a recent thing. But so I don't, that's just, look, I don't get it. But like when I hear Asian women say, oh, I couldn't date an Asian guy, it's like.
And what do you mean that you have, did you say 23 siblings?
Yes, my mom gave birth to 11 of them, but because of all the marriages, I have lots of step siblings as well.
Yeah, but at your age, even if she had been married 5 times, these step siblings couldn't have been in your life for very long.
They're still my siblings, though.
Yeah, but you go to school with people who are white, for instance, right? You probably have more of an interpersonal relationship with many of them than you did with your step siblings if you had such a limited time frame, right?
Where I lived as a kid and grew up at, the area was mostly African American. So my family was one of like 3 or 4 families in the area that were white.
What area was this?
We lived down in Jennings, Missouri. So that area is predominantly African American, and the school was mostly that as well. So that doesn't really apply in this case.
Yeah, I mean, it would still apply, right? So the idea here is even if predominantly the culture is dominated by black people instead of white people, you still have tons and tons of interaction with white people, right? But the idea that you've formed interpersonal bonds in such a limited amount of time with step siblings seems kind of silly, right?
I mean, the whole gist of it is, at the end of the day, they are your siblings, whether they're blood related or not. I think because I even grew up with adopted siblings too, blood to me is not really a factor. As soon as someone is in my family, they are in my family. And they have always been my sibling, that is my sibling. So
then
it doesn't
by
matter.
this logic, if you have this many siblings, and they, let's say, marry black people and Asian people and every different race in between, and they all start having children, does this mean that you won't date at all because some of your people who you're genetically related to happen to be the very race that you would be then forced to date?
That is also in the future. I would already be with my partner. I'm one of the oldest of my siblings. So the likelihood of the 3-year-old getting married and having a child before me is probably not likely.
Well, you can't be the oldest of 11. If the
oldest
next
is
one in line is
24.
3. Hang on, if the next in the line is 3?
The oldest of the ones that I am related to is 24. The oldest of all of them in total is, I believe, 27. So
No, then if you have a 24-year-old, they could easily,
She won't.
marry off and create relations with. I mean, in other words, by the time you're of marriageable age, multiple of your siblings could date outside of the race, have children. Then you'd have nieces and nephews who are a different race. So then you just wouldn't date then because you would consider them to be genetically related.
my older siblings, there's only 3 or 4 of them. I don't even know what one of them looks like, to be honest. Never met them in my life.
What?
The one guy is already married to this other white girl. My older sister is not being with anytime soon. She has the mental capacity of someone much younger than her age. And then my older brother has no interest in anything like that. So.
Yeah, but wasn't that? I mean, don't you have like 9 more to go? Right? So
The
like
one
9
after
more
that,
years?
everyone after that is still like 13.
No, that would be a mathematical impossibility that everybody after that was like 13, right? That
No,
would be-
because they're step siblings too.
okay. Yes, I understand, but
Yes.
even then, it would still be mathematically impossible that all of them
In
were
what
like
way?
13. I just want to let you know, you may not be aware of this, but if you were pregnant 11 times, that would require 11 years of your life. Therefore, you can't have 11 kids or 9 kids or 8 kids or 7 kids who are like 13. That makes
Have you forgot
no
about
sense.
multiples? As in twins and triplets?
Oh, wait, so now you have a ton of twins and triplets in
I
your
said
family?
siblings. I didn't specify whether they were all born at the same time or not. And some of them are
Okay,
adopted.
So how many twins and triplets do you have?
2 sets of 2.
So that would be 4 out of the 11.
Yes.
Yeah, so they still couldn't all be 13, right? That still wouldn't make any sense.
If there
It would
are
be- it would
4
be a wide
people,
array,
if there
or
are
a
4
wide
people
variety of
older
age.
than me, that's 4.
Yeah.
And then there is my one brother who is my age. Well, not my age, a year younger than me. He is married to this white girl. He's just turned 19. The one after that, he is 14. So Aiden. Logan's 14. Then Cassidy is 13. And then there's Avery. He's even younger. There's... Why am I counting like that? There's... Karina, Connell, Avalon, Cordelia, and then Kieran. I don't know how any of that is. And then there's some that I haven't even met. So, yeah.
I mean, if you haven't met those people, then why would it poison the well for your dating preferences if you haven't even met them?
They're still my siblings.
Yeah, but how do you even know what they look like to draw a comparison?
I guess the simplest way to sum it up is imagine you are having sex with someone and you look at them and you see your sibling. That's weird. That's uncomfortable. Like, I don't know anyone who would find that an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, but if your extended family were to marry out, including your step siblings, to other races, then wouldn't you see then your nieces and nephews in the faces of those people you were dating?
I think the only way this works is because I'm not close with most of my family, so I'm not going to get to meet their kids. I'm not going to get to know that.
So you're not close to them, but for some reason they inform your dating preferences. That's
Yes.
super weird.
I mean, many people have toxic relationships with their family and they don't talk to their family anymore, but that's made them who they are, so a lot of who they are is based off of them.
Yeah, but this is literally the first time I've ever heard somebody say that their dating preferences are informed by the fact that they might see a brother's face they have never met in the face of the person they're dating. That's bizarre.
I hear it all the time, so I don't really know.
Okay.
All good? All right. Okay.